Let's throw our hands in the air as we soar through the sky.
Yatta!
We'll catch the sun with your hand in mine, and if we work as a team, everything will be fine.
Yeah!
Oh, it's Cure of the What Now?
Let's henshin and start the show.
Hello, fellow rule breakers of Azora Middle School, and welcome to Cure of the What Now, the only show where we commit crimes to assert our female dominance.
Hey, you there, are you a mermaid in disguise?
No.
Okay.
Me? No, I'm just the ghost of the show, Cat.
I was wondering if you were going to say, am I free to go or am I being detained?
Oh, and today I am someone desperately trying to get my personal belongings back from the gosh dang school police. I object on a fundamental level to the idea that schools can confiscate the personal property of students. I think that's wrong.
I think they should be returned at the end of the day, but I mean, I had teachers that took cell phones in order to try to get people to pay attention.
I've told you my favorite story related to that, right?
Maybe?
Basically, I was in a class that wasn't a class. It was like a homeroom type thing. And she kept telling me to stop reading. And I was like, this is an academic class. You can't tell me what to do. And eventually she tried to take my book away. And so I made very deliberate eye contact. And I pulled a second copy of the same book out of my bag and went back to reading. Because I had borrowed it from a friend and then went and bought my own copy. So.
That's a manga level. Like, that's literally a gag from World God Only Knows. Also, I'm the co-host of the show, Joel, and how do you do, fellow kids? I'm just going to be roller skating no, skateboarding down this, the wheels, they go...
You there?
Yes?
Your skirt is not up to standard, it's too long.
Are you kidding me? Too long?
Show us your butt.
Show us your calves, your sweet, sweet calves.
Oh, this is getting weird. We just watched episode...
I drizzled them in fruit juice, okay?
Don't talk anymore. I know this is a podcast. Fruit. This is an audio format, but I am going to do this episode by myself because your talking privileges have unfortunately been revoked.
You know, that's fair. Rule 17 in the school regulations state that the host of the show can silence anyone else who's on the podcast.
Oh, no. Now it's me who's the cops. Welcome to episode 12. Our lead-in discussion question for today that's on the docket appears to be, what Pokemon would you give each character? Which I think is a really interesting discussion question.
Yeah, I love Pokemon. We've done bonus episodes about Pokemon twice now, and one about Digimon. You see, we subverted it. But now that we have a new season of PreCures, I think it's interesting to talk about it. Because it's a tropical season, I think you can assume that they would each have a water Pokemon on their team, and if they did a region based off of Azora, there'd be a lot of surfing. But I would prefer that we try not to just pick water for each one of them. We don't have a flamingo Pokemon yet, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Imagine her with a toucanon, though.
A toucanon would be excellent. I think she could also work really well. I don't know if she has the exact personality, but Litlio's Pyroar. I think that she would do well with a female Pyroar.
Okay, I like that. I was imagining for Manatsu an Apom that just constantly steals her stuff. Or is like, it crouches on her head and it throws stuff at other people, and then when they turn around to get mad, it's gone, so they're always getting mad at Manatsu, and Manatsu's like, hey!
I love it. I think that Manatsu's team would be the most scattered, like, different types. She would just see something and be like, oh, that's really cool, and she would catch it. But I could also see her having No. I decided that works better for Sangha, so I'll get to that in a second. What if Manatsu... And again, this feels kind of weird. It feels like I'm saying, like, something that's, like, really mean, but, like, they're seriously basing her movements and actions kind of off of, like, a monkey. So what if she just had an all-monkey team? She had a Simisear, she had a Simisage, she had the new one from Sword and Shield I can't remember, and she has a Primeape. I think that could work pretty well.
Okay, I like that.
If you had to associate her with just one type, what would it be?
Maybe fighting?
Fighting's pretty good. I might give her grasp, but I'm not sure I can specifically point at what trait of hers kind of reminds me of that. Asuka reminds me of fire or electric just because she's the cool character.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask, are there any fruit-themed Pokemon? And realized Appleton.
Yeah, Appleton is pretty good.
There's also Cherum? Is that the name
Cherubian and Cherum, yeah, are the two forms.
I can't ever remember because who wants a cherry on their team?
I mean, I think it's kind of a neat design, but I've never had it on my team because I don't think it's very strong and whatever.
And you don't like grass types.
I don't like grass types. So what I was going to say is, would Manatsu have a bunch of fairies? No, would she have a bunch of Pokemon that evolve via affection? But I think that actually fits Songo's caring nature as well.
Songo absolutely has a Sylveon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that she has a lot of fairy-type Pokemon. I think that really fits her pretty well. Aromatisse seems like a really obvious one because it's a perfume and that's related to the makeup store kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Minori, just because she's yellow, I kind of want to do like electric, but also she's the brainy one, so I could see her with like an Alakazam or something like that. And yeah.
Laura's got a Pukumuku that just constantly is punching her.
The thing that like spits out its like the tongue thing.
Yeah, the sea cucumber.
Yeah. Okay. I think that works really well for a gag. I really like her having a melodic is one that I think is a more serious, suggestion for her to have. But I could also see her having a couple of like dark type Pokemon or like Pokemon that know a couple of like underhanded tricks.
How about this? Laura has a Feebas that was entrusted to her by the Queen, and she hates it, because there's nothing queenly about this thing. But over the course of the show, she grows to love and respect it as a partner, and then, in her greatest moment of need, it evolves, and it's suddenly this beautiful thing, and Laura's like, I always knew you had the beauty inside you!
Oh my gosh. So, really quickly, this is not the original question, I'm just gonna lightning round this, but Asuka would be a veteran or like an ace trainer or a gym leader. She'd take challenges very seriously. Songo for breeder. Minori for Pokemon professor or assistant, kind of like Sonya in Sword and Shield. Laura for rival who thinks she's all that but gets trounced every single time. And Manatsu is just the protagonist.
Good use of the word trounced.
Okay, any other thoughts on this before we wrap up?
No, I think that's about all I was thinking. You want to hit me with that sweet, sweet, succinct summary?
Maybe. What happened in this episode? There was some... Okay, the girls wanted to do a skateboard club. Specifically, Manatsu wanted to, which... Manatsu, you promised Laura last episode you'd pick a club activity that she could do, and I just think mermaid on a skateboard is a little strange.
We learned in this episode she can sit her butt down on the skateboard and scoot around like an idiot.
She can push herself forward type of a thing. She has to use her hands, though. But what are they called? The student, not the student council.
The disciplinary club.
The disciplinary committee show up. They're investigating the strange mermaid sightings, and they seem to think that the Tropical Club is responsible. And eventually, they take the mermaid pot from them, thinking that it's like a cell phone or something like that. Laura has to go undercover. No, she has to do a Mission Impossible, sneak into the room where the aqua pot, or the mermaid pot is, and steal it back while the girls try and fight the Zen Zen Yarne dog summoned by Elda. And... Laura's almost caught, but she's able to disguise herself as a human with a school uniform, but the skirt is just a little bit too long, but she manages to escape anyways because she can just go inside of the magical item and float away. And that's been your succinct summary! It appears that Kururun has kept the skateboard that was shown in the earlier of the episode. I don't know if that was just a throwaway gag, but I would like that to be I would like Laura to slowly accumulate items throughout the series that she just keeps in the mermaid pot.
Oh my gosh. I got really excited at the end of the episode because she showed up in the uniform she'd borrowed. Yes. And she's like, now I can go to school. But Asuka was like, that's not yours. You have to put it back. Asuka, get her a uniform. Let her come to school with you.
Okay, now here's the thing.
Where?
It's in Aozora Middle School. That's where the thing is.
That's where it is.
I like the idea of Laura coming to school, and I just think that it's going to happen. And I guess technically we did that with Lala in her season, but Laura doesn't have like any kind of paperwork or anything. Like she's gonna show up, and the school's gonna be like, "Where are your parents?" She's gonna go, and they're gonna be like, "What's your name? Where's your ID?" And she's gonna go,
I'm a foreign exchange student living with Manatsu.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. But yeah, I think she'll get legs, and I think she'll join the club, or join the school, but it's just a matter of, you can't do these things hastily, because like, you can't just show up into a classroom and be like, "Hey, I'm one of your students." The teacher's gonna be like, "I'm gonna go talk to the principal really quick, because I didn't get the notification about this."
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. We got more Elday this episode. You mentioned that you were thinking she's probably your favorite general at this point.
She has the most personality. Dr. Numeri, she's kind of like this laid back. She has like a certain air about her, but both she and Chongi Ray are kind of just like, they're just people. Whereas Elday, she has more of a personality, you know? She yarn-a-dawed like a playset, and she was like just sliding down this thing's arm and like jumping in the air. And like, honestly, I don't know why she had to steal motivation power, because it seemed like she just wanted to hang out. But yeah, she's fun, she's cool. Did you like this episode?
I did. I thought it was a good Laura episode.
Yeah.
Slash sort of an Asuka episode. Asuka standing up to the disciplinary committee was cute.
Yes.
I liked it. I would have liked to have seen them cowed a little bit by her powerful big sisterly energy.
Oh, sure.
But that didn't seem to be the case.
This episode, in two ways, tried to indicate it was an Asuka episode. The, what's it called? The eye catch, when it went to commercial break, was Asuka, and today's color was, motivation color was red. But it was clearly Laura who was the MVP of the episode. She's the one who told Manatsu, like a badass, "Why don't you just stop the bad guys before they get the motivation power?"
You stole my moment.
I'm sorry.
I was going to bring that up when it was time for favorite scenes and quotes, and I will anyway, but continue.
But I'm just saying that, like, Laura was the one who kind of, like, broke into the student disciplinary room in order to take back the pot, and she ended up saving the day. Whereas Asuka, she had some moments, and they're clearly trying to give us a couple more hints towards her backstory, but she didn't really have growth in this episode as much as kind of Laura did in a way.
Absolutely, yeah. I did like that Minori was the one who was walking around with the rule book that was like, well, they can do that if they want to. They're allowed.
They did end up at the end of the episode. I thought they were going to find a rule, because the disciplinary committee seemed to like really want to stick to the rules. Are you breaking rules over there? So I figured they would like find a way to amend the rules, or find an obscure rule that like they apparently were breaking on accident, or they were going to teach the president of the committee to like have a little bit more fun. Ultimately, that didn't happen, but they did end up saying that they were allowed to keep the mermaid pot, because I guess they asked the teacher, scene we didn't see, but she gave approval, and she's the advisor, and that's one of the rules.
Maybe
of the
they
book.
were just lying.
You think they would do that?
Yes. Manatsu would absolutely tell lies if it meant getting to Tropica Shine. Minori, I don't think, could tell a lie.
See, I think Songo would be a little like, what? Like, if they lied and they hadn't told her ahead of time, she'd be a little like, huh? And Minori would absolutely be like, I'm sorry, you must be misremembering.
Yeah, but Asuka would tell lies. I could see that fine. I could see Manatsu being like, Songo, we gotta tell a lie. And Songo being like, no, that's wrong. And then Manatsu goes, no, Songo, it's important. And Songo goes, okay.
We have our own kind of set of characters in our head for a story that we'll probably never actually create into a book or whatever, but one of the characters is a very Fluttershy-esque character, and she's not this shy in the actual text, but sometimes we joke about being like, hey, could you pass the salt? Eep! And that's kind of how I see Songo. Like, she would be afraid of the idea of telling a lie, but then she could be convinced into telling one anyways, just because Manatsu and Asuka have such strong energy in that sense.
Yes, absolutely. We do new info / characters occasionally in these episodes, and we did get some new characters. The Disciplinary Committee. Don't know their names. Don't care what their names are.
The main girl had a name that they mentioned once, and I was like, should I write this down? And then I didn't.
Yeah. But I doubt they're going to be major players in future episodes. Like, they might get a moment way down the line when they're like, the Tropical Club taught us to shine.
Yeah.
But I doubt they're going to be important, like, next episode. The new information we got that I thought was interesting was that, yes, Laura can absolutely use her fins as feet.
I still don't quite get that. So she's breaking into this room in order to get the thing, and she hears the door opening, and she has to think fast, but there's confiscated uniforms. Some of them are like costumes, but this one is a uniform where the skirt was too long, as you mentioned earlier. And she thinks fast, and she kind of like hides behind it. But I kind of figured that maybe she would have been like holding herself up like against a desk, like looking like she was leaning, but actually she was, like laying almost. And then when the camera zoomed away, she'd be in like kind of an awkward position with the skirt or whatever. But no, she's just able to kind of walk around.
It did seem uncomfortable for her. Like there was a moment where you saw she was like stretching to hold herself up.
Yeah.
So I doubt she can just wander around like this. Also, quick side note, Sukeban Laura, 10 out of 10 best Laura. I absolutely need to draw her with a baseball bat now.
Yeah, Minori's probably the only character I couldn't really see fitting into a Sukeban kind of role, archetype, outfit. That's what I was trying to say. Like, I couldn't see her dressed with, like, the Band-Aid over the nose with a bat or anything like that. For any of our listeners who aren't weebs, although I assume most of them are, what is Sukeban?
Okay, so Sukeban is basically like girl delinquent. They're girls who have dyed long hair usually and longer skirts. They engage in your typical Japanese child gang activity, so walking around fighting other school gangs. And the Sukeban subculture is actually really interesting to me because a lot of the fashion elements were born out of resistance to the sexualization of young girls. So, for example, that's the reason why their skirts are so long, is because you can't sexualize my legs if they're all the way covered up. And that's like the opposite direction that feminism took in America. In America, it's I can be uncovered if I want to. And so I think that's pretty cool.
No, I like it a lot. If you have seen Fruits Basket, Toru's one of her two best friends is absolutely a Sukeban, and if you watch Zombieland Saga...
Which you should.
Yeah, you should. That's what Saki is.
Yes, and she's got her motorcycle, and...
Yeah, absolutely.
She wants to take over Saga. This is not a Zombieland Saga podcast, but it is a good show. But anyway, so... I feel like I have to draw that now. Like, Sukeban Laura, ready to break in your teeth.
Absolutely. There's another word that's kind of similar that's for men. It's Bancho, which basically means like a delinquent leader or something like that. I believe most places I've seen it sub, they'll translate it as like boss. But there was a Bancho in a previous season in Heartcatch PreCure. There was a character who everyone thought was really intimidating, and he was gangster, but he really wasn't.
He was just so distracted thinking of his girly PreCure manga that he couldn't...
Yeah. But my point is that there's a specific look for Bancho, which is different than the look that you get for Sukeban. And so I'm, draw whatever you want to draw. I think that I might be tempted to put Asuka in, like, Jotaro Kujo's outfit. I think
would look so good in that jacket.
She would. Plus, obviously I'm going to have to go through and pick all of the different girls that I think would either look fly as hell in the outfit or have the right personality to kind of be that, and I can do my crossovers that I love so much. I've already drawn Manami Kaido, Cure Mermaid, as Jotaro, so I think that those two would get along.
Imagine Haruka, Cure Flora, trying to pull off the Sukeban look.
Oh no.
She can't be intimidating, she's a sunshine girl.
Kirara, am I growling right? Am I being intimidating enough? You're doing very good, sweetie. A+ for effort.
Shimura pops out of the princess, whatever. No.
Yeah, you have to be much more intimidating. Strike fear of God into their hearts.
Watch Princess PreCure. We watched episode 12 Futari Wa this week. We did it.
Yes! We've got introduced to the next big general, who is a lady. I believe her name is like Poisina or something. It was very like on point for like, your parents knew you were going to be evil. She actually managed to trick Nagisa in order to take the fairy phone or whatever, and she used like this weird hypnosis, and Honeka's grandma had like kind of a badass moment. And I kind of liked this episode, but I also kind of didn't like this episode. The lady tricked Nagisa by by putting on a disguise, knowing her weakness, knowing that, she really likes chocolate and she's a little scatterbrained, so I can trick her easily. But then when it came time to try and trick Honoka, she had, witch magic and could, create this illusion. And, if you can do that, just, this sounds weird, but attack them while they're asleep. Literally put them in a nightmare scenario that they can't escape from, and then just take the freaking phone.
Put them on a bad acid trip where they think their hands are French fries and...
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I liked the new lady. I liked the I kind of got the feeling that maybe Grandma used to be something like a PreCure. I think that in this season you can only be PreCure if you have both the fairies and there's two girls, but just something about the way she handled herself, it's kind of does she have more of a past than we thought she did?
She absolutely is familiar with Mipple. And she was she gave me her strength. I would have liked to have seen Honoka rampage a little harder when her grandma was threatened, the way Nagisa did for her brother. But I get that that's not really who Honoka is.
Well, she raised her voice or whatever. So yeah, I think that the episode had a really interesting premise, and it's a lot better than the vacuum cleaner episode that I constantly am going back to. But it could have been even better, you know? So.
Absolutely. I will say the zombies were a weird touch.
Yeah, the fact that she could just control people naturally by just snapping her fingers, what's the limit? Does her quirk have a physical limitation too? But no, I think that she's a really interesting character to show up, and I think that the way that she's going to try to mess with them or try to fight them is going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. Do you have any favorite scenes or quotes from this episode?
I think that you do.
I do. Yes. Okay. So they see off in the distance a purple bubble that indicates there's a Yarane Da acting. How convenient, by the way, that their clubhouse is on a roof with a good view of the city.
Yeah.
Makes it much easier to do PreCure stuff.
What are you going to do? Give them a dog that sneezes and just is go northwest 45 kilometers?
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. Why would they do that? So they see this thing and Manatsu's but we don't have the pot. Oh no! And Laura looks at her and she gives the perfect rival energy. You'll just have to get it, or you'll just have to defeat it before it steals any motivation energy.
That's a really raw line.
It was so good. I feel like the episode floundered a little bit by having them get there and be oh no, I guess they got the motivation energy already. I would have liked to have seen them hold it off from the people because Laura had given them that push.
Imagine if Elda was shooting energy beams that were demotivation power, and Cure Summer and all the others had to run and pick up the child and get out of the way before they got hit with it or whatever, and they're we've got to focus on protecting the city type of thing.
That would be awesome. And then you could have a moment where all the PreCure are knocked back and it starts to suck up the motivation energy, but then Laura arrives.
That's when she has her triumphant moment.
Yeah, and Laura's didn't I tell you to hold it off?
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, it was a really good line, and it's a little bit more action, anime than I would associate with most shoujo, but we'll get there, We'll eventually get to the episode where Manatsu's tropical energy absorbs the sun or whatever.
We absolutely will. Joel, I'm going to get you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
Did you watch more Kira this week?
I did not. So my plan is I'll make a solemn Cotwin promise. It's been a little while since I've broken out that. So I will make a Cotwin promise that by the next time we record for episode 13, I will have caught up to episode 13 of Kira. And at that point, I will watch one episode a week, like homework, so that I have a little bit of, we can talk about all 3 episodes kind of in parallel with each other.
Okay, beautiful.
If I break this promise, then unfortunately, I'm going to have to temporarily leave the podcast as punishment, and Pete, the Triceratops, will have to come in as my replacement.
That's a punishment for me!
Sounds like you're gonna help me remember to watch Kira this week.
I guess I am. No tweets in a bottle this week.
Yeah, I've been bad about sending out, Twitter things asking for solicitations. But listen, we have a Discord. We have a specific channel that's explicitly for PreCure and Toku, and we're not currently watching any Toku. So If you want to join the Discord, just PM either Kat or I, and then we can let you join, and you can let us know your thoughts. We even want to watch each new episode with other people, but the weekends are kind of busy with the, people that we currently have in the server.
Yeah, Joel, I'm going to challenge you to put a reminder when you post this on Reddit to be like, hey guys, if you want to join the Discord, shoot me a message.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like 90% of our audience comes from the PreCure Reddit.
It seems that way. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Join us. We'll watch Tropical Rouge and we'll talk about how perfect Laura is and how she absolutely should not have to pay her taxes.
Right. We'll also talk about how Hummy isn't suspicious at all.
And that's been yours.
No. I'm sorry. 2 things really quick. I wanted you to describe your scene with your favorite, moment, but there was one thing that I need to shout out. The girls looked fly as hell in their skateboard outfits.
Yes.
That was so good. I said we have a friend who really likes skateboarding, so I sent him the image and I said, new skateboard anime just dropped, and I think he's going to recognize that these are characters that we've talked about previously, but for a moment, it seemed like he was kind of like, oh, I'll have to check this out. I'm like, haha, we got him.
We got him. If I'm going to draw Sukeban Laura, I would love it if you could draw, skateboarder Sango.
You know what random flash I just got?
Tell me. Ha! You just got a flash.
I just had a flash of inspiration. You gotta get over that, man. You gotta just recognize that there's gonna be different subs for things.
I like the way the fan sub did it.
I like inspiration because it actually is the same number of letters as inspiration. It has the word cure in it. So my point is, I randomly, the heavens above downloaded a wireless signal into my brain, and what I saw was a giant donut, and Laura is stuck, and she's wiggling trying to get out. She's in the donut hole.
Perfect.
No, we're not done with the final thoughts. Okay, I got it. This podcast is over when I say it. So the one thing that I do want to say before we sign out is that the June bonus episode of King of the What Now is going to be covering more PreCure. We watched the first episode of 8 different seasons of PreCure.
Every season we hadn't seen yet.
Except for the 2 that are sequels, but yes. So we talk about, Fresh. We talked about PreCure 5. We talked about Splash Star. These aren't in order, I'm sorry. We talked about Sweet. We talked about Smile. We talked about Doki Doki. We talked about Happiness Charge. And we talked about Hugto. And it's a really long episode, and we worked very hard on it, and I hope that someday we're able to get to the point where we can do kind of not bonus episodes, those are patron exclusives, but maybe special episodes that are different from our main episodes that we upload week to week and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So check that out. It's going to be out on June 1st. That's the plan. That's just in a couple of weeks.
I've got a crack theory for you to end the episode on.
Crack theory, okay.
Yep. So Laura comes to school in this Sukeban outfit, and she's scouted by a girl gang that already exists at the school. And they try to get her to stop hanging out with Manatsu and them because they're lame and their club is stupid. And Laura figures out she really enjoys riding motorcycles. She rides on the back of this one girl's, but then she misses Manatsu's smile, so she goes back to the Tropical Club.
She joins the Sukeban Club for a little while. And she hasn't forgotten PreCure, but she just has an afternoon free where she's like, I'll hang out with these girls. And then Manatsu shows up on her own motorcycle and holds out her hand to Laura and is like, hop on! And they drive away into the sunset.
Why commit crimes with them when you could commit crimes with me?
Oh my gosh. Manatsu needs a pair of sunglasses. I think they would really work well for her personality. I have a legitimate theory, and it's not really that surprising, but they've dropped enough hints now. Laura's just going to reveal herself to the school eventually. They in this episode, they were like, if they find out about you, we won't be able to do PreCure anymore. What? If you tell people that there are monsters that will end the world, they're absolutely going to let you be a superhero.
The adults might not. The adults might be like, this is dangerous.
I mean, I guess.
Because adults are stupid.
And then Manatsu will just casually, pick up a truck. And she's like, I already have superpowers. And they're like, shit, you're right. We can't get in the way of that. And that has been your... Final thought. Outro goes here. Thanks for listening, everyone. And don't forget to Tropica Shine.
PreCure.
Ha! What a great episode of King of the What Now, your One Piece podcast that started from the very beginning and stars these two doofuses. If you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is the best place to do that. I am at KOTWN_pod.
And I am at Pirate Ghost Host.
Absolutely, yes. We share all sorts of thoughts on there, some related to the podcast, some related to other things. But you can also reach us through email at KingOfTheWhatPod@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Patreon. We would love some subscribers or supporters, whatever the technical term is. Patrons. So fancy and grown up. And you can find that at patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod. You can find all sorts of things like bonus episodes, and you get to see the full cold open candidates, not just the ones that make it into the episode. Maybe someday if I learn to draw, I'll put stuff up there. We're always looking for suggestions and feedback. And speaking of which,
please take a moment to rate and review our podcast wherever you get us from. So iTunes, Spotify, Scrivener, that's for writing. But wherever you listen to our podcast, take a moment to leave a review. It helps other people find us. We are so grateful to all of our listeners, and we couldn't do this without you.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is super powerful, so if you have a friend who likes One Piece and they haven't heard of us, just direct them to the latest episode. And if they hate us, they can tell us why. And if there's an actionable item, we'll try to please you. That's how this works. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.